How are we doing all? And welcome to the I'll Try That podcast. This week we're on our way to work with Vocation.
Simo, let's jump into the hot topic. What have you got for us?
So I think I've got a fantastically, interestingly, yet sad piece of news for you. And that is for a huge company that is Molson Coors. Now, they are the second largest brewer in the US of A. Holla. And I would just like to... Sorry, I don't
Why
know.
are you putting in those extra words?
Who are you hollering at?
The US of A, of course.
And they need a holler, do they?
Yeah.
So, okay, anyway. So they were forced to halt its beer production due to a cybersecurity incident, is the word they're using. Now, just to make this clear, this has stopped brewing operations, productions and shipments, and it has caused an entire systems outage. And all they've done so far and they've apologised for the situation, and they've said that they have engaged a leading forensic IT firm to try and solve the issue.
Basically, something outside of this brewery, Molson Coors' control, has affected them in the way that they cannot make the beer, and yet they feel they need to apologise for the fact that they can't make the beer.
Yes.
I mean, that's just that. I mean, hey, hats off to them. This is something that's happening outside their control. I mean, I guess the fact remains of were their security or their cybersecurity not taken seriously enough to kind of protect themselves against this? Maybe there's an internal inquiry. Maybe we'll find out a bit more information about it in the future. But I think this highlights the very seriousness of cybersecurity crime and cybercrime, and the rise of cybersecurity technology firms, and the fact that this is a huge industry because there's a real need for them.
Probably not great, but whenever I hear cyber attack or something like that, my head just goes to the Matrix and being downloaded, and then all of that green screen, and then there's somebody sitting in a dark room just going, and the green screen's coming down like this, and they're like, ha 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 ha, sipping like a Red Bull sort of thing, and like, I've just brought down Molson Coors, ha 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 ha, sort of thing, and then some more kind of tapping away.
So you're definitely thinking like the operators of the Matrix, even though the film, not the Matrix, people doing kickflips and stuff and kicking each other doing flips and stuff. You're thinking definitely the computer-based Matrix.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, I always find it, talking back about the actual situation, I do think it's quite scary that a company that big has been completely shut down and it's completely messed everything. And if you think about how it's the second biggest company that's brews alcohol in the US of A, that is absolutely crazy that they are now going, yeah, we can't brew, we can't do any of our production or any of our shipments because of this situation. That's really scary, really.
It does, and it's also because it highlights the fact that they are very reliant on technology in order to do their operations. Whether that's from fulfilling orders, people's information, the Security Information Act, whether that's just actually the production itself and the temperature gauges of the fermentation tanks, everything, all the scaling of, knowing of when to kind of beer deliveries are kind of meant to be done. It affects everything technology nowadays. So the fact that a company of that scale, as you've said, Simo, has been open and has received this cybersecurity attack and threat, that they've actually halted all production. That's huge. That's a really, really big deal.
I think a lot of people as well, I guess, would worry about information that you can get. And it's personal information. That's always the big thing, isn't it? When you hear about these cyber attacks, it's about the personal information that can get kind of released, and that is also quite scary. Just seeing about the CEO, he's made a very, how did you say it? Business kind of statement. It's very kind of, was it corporate? Is that the right word? And he's just talking about the fact that they need to be really careful about how they react. And they need to really, and they keep talking about ransomware. And I don't know what ransomware is. Does anybody know?
Yeah, ransomware is malicious software or hardware that infiltrates. That's basically the starting point for most cybersecurity attacks. So it kind of basically gets its, we think maybe back to the the 90s or the noughties, where you had the Trojan horse. I don't know if you ever heard of this bug, where it basically got into computer systems and it just it was like, it seemed like a very small file, and then it got in, and once it got into a computer system, it then extrapolated and multiplied itself to the fact that it was so exponentially large that it crashed computer systems. That's just one of, like, I don't know, millions of different types of ransomware or kind of cybersecurity threats. And cybersecurity is a very generic term for a lot of different attacks that can happen. Like, you can have cybersecurity threats that come through personnel. So people guessing your password is classed as a cybersecurity threat.
Yeah.
But also people taking your identity is also a cybersecurity threat. People infiltrating your business and then stealing data from your hard drives, your servers, is a cybersecurity threat. So it's a very broad and generic term. So it's interesting, I guess, to find out a bit more about how this brewery was affected by a cybersecurity threat.
I think I need to improve my knowledge on cybersecurity, because, as earlier, all my knowledge comes from movies, and they seem to do it really, really easily, sort of thing, and they're all really good looking.
Keanu Reeves, what a lad.
Oh, great looking guy. But yeah, it's definitely something I need to improve my knowledge on, and definitely improve probably my cybersecurity out there.
Well, I mean, talking about IT and security, I suppose, maybe not security attacks per se, but we are talking about Vocation. So Vocation is a brewery hailing from Yorkshire here in the UK.
I'm just enjoying the transition we took.
And the transition I took, I'll link it back to the IT right now. So the founder of Vocation is a guy named called John Hinkling.
Nice.
Who worked in IT for a bank.
Well done. Congratulate. No, as in, everyone needs to pause for at least 2 seconds and go, what a guy, what a guy.
John had been working a very corporate job, working for in IT in a bank, the most corporatist of IT jobs that you can ever do. And then he just figured out that he wanted to do something different, which happens for a lot of it. Actually quite a few companies have been set up by ex-financial, industry professionals. They have a bank of money, and then they want to do something different with it. And John decided that he wanted to build a brewery with it. And so that's what he started out. So he built this tiny brewery in his kitchen, where he definitely he started out using plastic buckets, kind of this real starting point. So although he worked in for a bank, he was definitely on the IT side of things rather than any sort of these kind of trader situations. But he finally was able to get to a point where he was able to quit his job, sell his home, and co-found the brewery in 2008. So this guy put everything into starting this brewery. He literally wrapped up his whole life, sold it off, and was like, this is it, I'm all in. Let's start this. And I guess that's why the name, the Vocation, came from it. It became more than just a job, a pastime. It became a vocation. This is who you are. This is who you are, John.
What I really like, as you said, his first brewery was in 2008. And what I really like is the fact that he was working for that company for about 5 years. And then he realised that it was as far as it could go. And he actually sold that brewery in order to make the Vocation brewery in 2015. And what I really like is the homage he does to the established time with, rather than saying 2015 on the can, it's MMXV, which is the Roman numerals of 2015 on the can itself. And it's just, as you said, the fact that he's obviously a very driven person who knew what he wanted, realised that he had a job where he got lots of money but no satisfaction, and he wanted to do a vocation that really inspired him. And as you said, he created his first brewery, sold that on, and then made something, well, which we'll find out if it's incredible or not through the taste.
It's such a bold move as well, which I think would resonate with so many people, and I think that possibly makes the brand even more appealing. Even from hearing the story now from you guys, it makes me respect the company even more. So the thing that he's gone out there and he's gone, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to put it all on the line. And you hear so many people doing that and gaining so much success and just being happier. And I think that's what a lot of people do dream of. They do dream of going, you know what, I want to do this dream, I want to do that, which makes the company much more appealing to me in my eyes, that he's set a goal and he's gone out and he's gone and done it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Rich. Like we've talked about a lot of some of the biggest breweries in the world. You know, these companies that have been around for however many years, they've all these many people that work for them. And yet we still go back to these companies that are very aspirational. You know, you could aspire to be one of these kind of companies. And, you know, I think that's so fascinating, and that you can, if you wanted to, set yourself up. You can become the barrier to entry for becoming a brewer, becoming a beer entrepreneur and starting your own business is quite low. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of capital investment out there to help brewers become it. The biggest problem that's always going to underpin it is, how do you sell your beer? How do you make profit off this thing? And as we know, the beer industry in the world is on a decline. Less people are buying beer overall year on year than the year before, just because there are more barriers to, there are other opportunities, there are other drinks, there are other drinking occasions, there are other things that are, we've talked before about hard seltzer being one of the many things out there that people are choosing to turn to instead of beer.
It kind of instantly makes me think of, and I literally thought of Joe because he lived in America, like the American dream, the idea that you can go from nothing to something based off your own kind of want or need. Like he's gone, right, I want to do something that's exciting that I love, and he's just gone for it, and he's taken the risk, which so many people are actually afraid of now. And I think a lot of people are always afraid to take that big scary risk of doing something completely out there, because from IT to beer, it's absolutely crazy, and it's just a great story.
And I think it's especially prevalent in the brewing industry, because there's so many, we've talked about many brewers already who've started from their basements, started from their mum's garages, stuff like that. And they've started from nothing, and just with hard work and determination, they've created, was it Northern Monk, I think especially, was one where they've excelled so quickly, sort of thing, because they had a good product and they worked hard towards it.
So I would say you've touched on the product there, and I'm drinking their Monomania 431, which is a pale ale, 5.7%. And it's got the graphic on the picture. So it's basically an aluminium can that's got a label stuck on it. So it's not integrated into the can itself. It's not like direct printed onto the can. So what they've been able to do with this direct printed label is do it's a photo, basically. It's a really nice artistic photo style of what it basically is, a hop. Well, it is a hop. That's what they photoed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's a blown up hop. And I've never seen a hop in this way before. Like, hops are talked about, and obviously it's integral to the beer industry, but no one heroes the hop. And Vocation for this specific beer is heroing the hop front and center. It is the main centerpiece of their beer design for this beer.
Joe, what's the taste like though?
It's hoppy.
Do you like it? Is it worth a punch?
This is a very, very tasty pale ale.
Excellent.
I cannot do any wrong with this. I mean, it's a classic and it's a pale. It's it's got an ale sense to it. They call it like it's an experimental hop variety, which is why it's not part of their core range. It's more kind of like an out there kind of like seasonal range. And I think you kind of get that. And it's different to most pale ales that you'll get out there, where most pale ales are very smooth. You'll have that kind of citrusy taste and like kind of like the kind of the smooth bitterness notes that you get with pale ales. But this one has a bit more of a kick to it. The percentage is 5.6%, so it has a kick in the ABV, but the flavor profile has more of a kick to it.
So I'm perusing and boozing the pure Pilsner, which the style is very different to yours, Joe. It's still the same kind of sticker on the can idea, but it's very, in essence, pure. Like, it's like simplistic artwork with it's white, and it looks like someone's taken a paintbrush with green and baby blue across it. Now, it says it's a pure Pilsner, and on the back talks about it being subtle. Now, I would feel, this is going to sound, this isn't a bad way, but it almost tastes like a weakened normal Pilsner to me. Like, it does feel very kind of weak in its flavour, but so subtle is probably the better word to use. But it's not as tasty as I thought it would be. it's still a very nice, easy drinking, and I think it could be a very dangerous drink because it does taste. It actually tastes slightly watered down in terms of that. It's such a subtle flavour. It's 4.5, so it's nothing to scoff at. But that was it's a decent, but I wouldn't say it's as powerfully as intriguing as what you've just drunk, Joe. Drab, what are you having?
So I've already finished. I got 2 Vocation cans, and I've already finished the one which was the Vocation 3 Flow, which was their extra special bitter, which it just tasted like a bitter sort of thing. In all honesty, it was nice, it was fine, but it wasn't anything that was going to blow my mind. But what I'm really excited for is the Vocation Double Sherbet Sour IPA that I've purchased off their website.
Hang on. Did you just say a double sherbet?
Double Sherbet Sour IPA. The reason I got this was, so I was on their website perusing what beers I wanted to buy and try. And this just caught my eye with the name. The cans are big old bright yellow cans sort of thing, which looks like it's got lemons on it, like slightly faded out lemons. And I was like, wow, I really want to try that. Not my greatest shout, because I'm mildly allergic to lemon. Like, only like a little bit. So like, I drink it and like, my tongue swells up. And not like massively that I'm going to choke. It's just like, gets a bit irritated and stuff. And then,
So do we need to call someone, Joe?
Can I just make sure that you've got your emergency contacts on your phone updated? Because we are doing this remotely right now, so there's not like a physical thing that we can go and help you if your tongue does swell up and you can't breathe.
100, don't worry. And for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to try it, sort of thing. I'm going to drink it, and I'm going to. The trouble is, I really like lemon, and what a burden my life is. So I'm gonna taste it live on air for you, or not live on air, recorded on air.
While you're tasting that, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about like Vocation's design in as a whole.
Oh.
Unlucky, Joe.
And we tune back into Rich, who's just tried a double sherbet IPA.
Woo! Okay, have you guys ever tried those toxic waste sweets you would get?
Yes.
The super sour, like they blow your head off sweets, yeah.
Yes, I loved them.
So Joe, could you describe my face that I pulled when I tried that for the first time?
You screwed your entire face up. Your eyes popped quite literally out of your head as well.
He's so funny looking.
I mean, that was before you even tried the beer.
Good.
You know what? It's sour. It's.
Are you good with your tasting? You've given the listeners quite a lot there.
Yeah. I actually am. I'm getting slightly worried.
Oh,
but
it burns.
He's fine. Just why don't you just subtly and like in the background like drink this beer and let your tongue just have your tongue swell up, but don't disturb us for a second. So we're talking about. I mean, the fact that you're rubbing your chest is not a good sign.
It tastes The trouble is, it tastes really nice, and it's like I'm a big fan of the sour, and like it tastes like sherbet sort of thing, and it's just a lot. Like you couldn't have like a half pint of this. Would be fine. So I think it's not something you're not going to session it. You're not going to, and it's 7%. I forgot to say that it's 7%.
So I bet you're really happy that you've got a 440ml can version of this as well. Then.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Okay, Joe, go before we talk together.
Talk about the brand. Okay, so the brand Vocation is all focused around the brand mark, which is the Vocation text. So it's the name Vocation. They have, looks like to be a V in an I shape. So it looks like an I with a V in the middle of it. Established, as Simmer said, MMXV, which is
2015.
But apart from that, there is no consistency across the beers. Every single beer has a unique graphic design and visual look and feel to it. That is the only thing that I've said. The word mark of Vocation, the IV thing, and the established 2015 and the MMXV thing. So everything else is I would highly recommend anyone to go and look at their Instagram, go and look at their website, because each one of their beers has such a unique and different look and feel to them.
Talking about a different unique and feel, moving from the pure Pilsner to the hop, skip and juice. Now, the hop, skip and juice literally has the most childish, cartoony thing you can possibly have on it. It's got kids literally hop, skipping and jump, like legs of the kids, hop, skipping and jumping, polka dot shorts, like ridiculously bright orange, yellow, green, like bright green colours all over it. It's a hazy pale ale, and the flavour is intense. It's smooth at the same time. It tastes like, do you know when it's like tropical juice? It reminds me of the tropical juice you can get at Tesco whilst being in an alcoholic beverage, and it's 5.7%. And I would definitely say you need to try and get this in your belly.
So going back to, I guess, the brand itself, the brand shows amazing flexibility with how it can live and breathe, because it can go from that, what you've just described, Simo, that very silly, hop, skip and jump, kind of playful, setting, to, I'm looking on their website, to 10.9% Imperial Russian Stout Vocation. So this is a collaboration with a Kirkenstall brewery in Russia, and it looks completely different. It's all dark. It's very serious looking. It's got some ornate, almost regal looking kind of emblem on it, which must be the Kirkenstall logo. But it can play in this camp. It can play like by Vocation not taking a stand by their graphic design to say this is what Vocation has to always look like. They can play in this kind of like very like
grey,
flexible and nature, like it's a grey area. They can do quite literally anything, so long as you have the Vocation word mark, the Vocation little stamp of the eye, and the established 2015 on it. You can do anything with it.
I love the fact that they're almost, as in what you've said, Joe, the fact that they've got that only those little things on the can, they're almost allowing themselves to be accessible to everyone. And they're instantly making it so it's like, oh, you want a serious looking beer? You go have this one. You want a funky, fun, silly thing? You go take that. You want a standard beer? You go get the pure Pilsner. Like, they're really like playing to everyone's audience. And I think it's really intelligent. Is it marketing? Is that the right word? Yeah, intelligent marketing. Because, I mean, I've enjoyed both of their beverages, and they both looked very different, and they probably appeal to different types of people. Like Drabwell's picked up an insanely crazy lemony drink, which would appeal to people who like to try those unique, crazy ideas. And Joe, you've got that hop one that probably appeals to people who are quite, serious about like the understanding of what that hop is, like what alcohol is all about, and the fact they've delved deep into it, almost like an investigation.
Vocation Brewery on Instagram have 39.1k followers, and on Twitter they have 12k followers. So this is a company that's been pretty pushing in the they've been making headlines by the fact that they have such a wide variety of different beers and vocations, quite literally.
They're only 6 years old, aren't they? Because it's 2015. They're only 6 years old, and they got that many people. That's really good.
Yeah, this is a great kind of company to be following, and I'm excited to see what else they can put out there, because all of us have enjoyed the beers that we've had from the very different beers that we've had, and I think that hits the nail on the head. There are some very different beers out there. You can get these from your beer subscriptions, you can get these from the local supermarkets, you can get these from direct to consumer, direct from them as well. So they're pushing themselves out there, and there's a wide variety of different beers out there. So I would say Vocation, we're enjoying what we're seeing for Vocation. Vocation have the opportunity, which is very unusual for a beer brand, of becoming potentially a lifestyle brand. Like, I could see this Vocation word mark on t-shirts, on things and it not feel like it's a brewery, but it feels like it's a way of being. And I think that's an aspirational place for most breweries, or most brands, I should say. I wouldn't even take the word brewery out of that. Most brands want to become a lifestyle brand. So the fact that Vocation could very quickly and very easily become a lifestyle brand, in my mind, is fascinating. And that's because they built in the flexibility and destroyed the usual, design and category cues for the beer market. I think is fascinating. And here are some of our best outtakes. Some of the bits that you didn't make it in.
That's what she said.
What job do you do? Vocation. Are you searching for a new job at the moment? Why don't you sit back and crack a vocation?
If you're looking for a new job at the moment, why don't you think about this Vocation?
Are you looking for a new job at the moment? Why don't you think about that new vocation with a vocation? Beer. How are we doing all? And welcome to the I'll Try That podcast. This week we're on our way to work with Vocation.
Done, we got it. And we tuned back into Rich, who's just tried a double Sherbet IPA. And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich,
and Simo,
goodbye. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now. Always drink responsibly, and if you or anyone else needs some help, go to drinkaware.co.uk for more information.